There's something humbling about standing beneath a sky full of stars, isn't there? That vast, endless expanse above us has captivated humanity for millennia, not just as a spectacle of beauty, but as a map, a guide, even a sacred text written in light. Now, imagine discovering that the ancient structures we've marveled at for centuries, the pyramids, the temples, the towering stone circles, were meticulously placed to mirror that celestial map. What if these monuments weren't just feats of engineering, but deliberate messages from the past, pointing us toward the cosmos? Across the globe, from the deserts of Egypt to the rolling hills of England, 24 mysterious alignments in ancient cosmic structures whisper a tantalizing question. Were these precise connections to the stars mere coincidence, or evidence of a lost wisdom far beyond what we've credited to our ancestors? Think about the Great Pyramid of Giza, its sides aligned almost perfectly with the cardinal directions north, south, east, west, with an accuracy that still stuns modern engineers. Or Stonehenge, where the rising sun on the summer solstice pierces through the stones like a laser, marking the longest day of the year with eerie precision. These aren't isolated quirks. From the temples of Angkor Wat to the serpentine mounds of North America, ancient builders seemed obsessed with aligning their creations to the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. But how, without telescopes, without advanced mathematics as we know them today, how did they achieve such celestial harmony, and more importantly, why? Was it worship, a way to commune with the gods, or was it something deeper, a scientific understanding we're only now beginning to unravel? This journey isn't just about stones and stars, it's about rewriting the story of human ingenuity. For every alignment we've decoded, there are dozens more that defy explanation, hinting at a sophistication we've underestimated. Could these patterns be fragments of a global language, a shared knowledge spanning continents and cultures? Or are we seeing connections where none exist, projecting meaning onto the randomness of time? As we explore these 24 enigmatic sites, you'll encounter theories that blur the line between archaeology and astronomy, between myth and science. Some will challenge everything you thought you knew about ancient civilizations. Others will leave you with more questions than answers. But one thing's certain, by the end, you'll never look at the night sky or the ruins of the past the same way again. So let's begin where all great mysteries do, with a single, haunting possibility. What if they knew more than we've ever imagined? Among all the celestial alignments attributed to ancient structures, few spark as much debate as the Orion correlation theory. Picture the three towering pyramids of Giza, Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure standing silent against the desert sky. Now look up at the constellation Orion, specifically the three stars that form its belt, Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. The resemblance is startling. The pyramid's layout mirrors the stars' positions with a precision that feels deliberate, as if the architects stretched the heavens down to earth. But how could a civilization without modern telescopes achieve such an exact celestial blueprint? The theory gained traction in the 1990s through the work of researcher Robert Bovell, who noticed that the pyramid's alignment matched Orion's belt not just in shape but in scale. The smallest pyramid, Menkaure, corresponds to the dimmest star, Mintaka, while the largest, Khufu, aligns with Alnitak, the brightest. Even the slight offset of the middle pyramid, Khafre, mirrors Alnilam's position in the constellation. Bovell argued this wasn't random, it was a deliberate celestial map, frozen in stone. Supporters point to ancient Egyptian texts describing the pharaoh's souls ascending to join Osiris, the god associated with Orion. Could the pyramids have been stairways to the stars, built to guide rulers to their divine afterlife? Yet skeptics push back. They argue that while the alignment is intriguing, the stars' positions shift over millennia due to Earth's wobbling axis. The perfect match Bovell described may only hold true for a narrow window around 10,500 BCE, thousands of years before the pyramids were built. Others suggest that with so many stars in the sky, finding patterns is inevitable. If you throw enough darts at a celestial map, some will land in striking configurations. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. The Nile River, flowing beside the pyramids, appears to mirror the Milky Way in ancient sky maps, a terrestrial echo of the cosmic river. And the nearby Sphinx, gazing eastward, aligns with the constellation Leo during certain epochs. Could these layers of alignment be mere accidents, or do they hint at a lost astronomical tradition? The debate forces us to reconsider what ancient Egyptians truly knew. Did they track the stars with tools we haven't discovered? Were they preserving knowledge from an even older, forgotten culture? What's undeniable is this: whether by design or chance, the pyramid's connection to Orion ignites our imagination. It challenges us to see these monuments not just as tombs, but as portals, a bridge between earth and sky, whispering secrets we're still straining to hear. Stonehenge stands as one of humanity's most enduring enigmas, a ring of massive stones that has silently watched the skies for thousands of years. But this isn't just a random arrangement. Every slab, every lintel, every carefully placed heelstone tells a story written in sunlight. Twice a year, during the summer and winter solstices, something extraordinary happens. At dawn on the summer solstice, the sun rises directly over the heelstone, its first rays flooding through the monument's central axis, illuminating the altar stone as if lighting a celestial fuse. In winter, the sun sets perfectly between the towering trilithons, framing the shortest day in a spectacle of precision. These alignments aren't just close, they're exact, repeating with a consistency that defies the idea that Stonehenge's builders were mere primitive stonemasons. So how did a society without written records, without modern tools, engineer a structure that locks into the solar cycle like clockwork? The answer may lie in generations of patient observation. Archaeologists suggest that early builders used simple wooden posts to track the sun's shifting path over decades, marking where it rose and set at key points in the year. Over time, these observations crystallized into a blueprint for Stonehenge, where the stones became permanent markers of cosmic events. But here's the twist: Stonehenge doesn't just track the sun. Some researchers believe its smaller, blue stones, hauled over 200 miles from Wales, align with the moon's extreme positions during its 18.6-year cycle. This dual focus on solar and lunar cycles hints at a sophistication we're only beginning to appreciate. Theories about Stonehenge's purpose are as varied as the stars it mirrors. Was it a colossal calendar helping Neolithic farmers predict planting and harvest seasons? A temple where rituals synchronized with the heavens? Or perhaps a healing site where the solstice sun's energy was believed to hold curative power? Recent excavations uncovered cremated human remains, suggesting it may have been a sacred burial ground, a bridge between the living and the dead. But what's undeniable is the intentionality behind its design. The effort to transport 80-ton sarsen stones from 20 miles away, to shape them with stone tools, to arrange them in perfect symmetry, all of it speaks to a cultural obsession with celestial harmony. Modern technology reveals even more layers of genius. Laser scans show that the builders shaped Stonehenge's vertical stones slightly wider at the top, countering the optical illusion that makes upright objects appear to taper upward. The lintels are curved to form a perfect circle when viewed from the center, and the entire structure is engineered to withstand millennia of wind and weather. This wasn't just stacking rocks, it was an act of reverence, a dialogue with the cosmos carved in stone, yet mysteries remain. Why build something so elaborate when simpler markers could track the solstices? Some researchers propose Stonehenge was part of a vast ceremonial landscape, linked to nearby monuments like Durrington Walls and Woodhenge, forming a ritual network tied to the rhythms of earth and sky. Others speculate it encoded astronomical knowledge meant to outlast oral traditions, a stone-bound legacy for future generations. Whatever its purpose, Stonehenge challenges our assumptions about prehistoric minds. It forces us to confront the possibility that ancient people didn't just live beneath the stars, they conversed with them, mapped them, and immortalized them in earth and stone. And as the sun continues to rise and set in perfect alignment, Stonehenge whispers a question across the ages. How much more did they know? Scattered across the arid plains of southern Peru, the Nazca Lines stretch for hundreds of miles, a sprawling canvas of geometric shapes, animals, and mysterious figures etched into the earth so large they can only be fully appreciated from the sky. A hummingbird with wings spanning nearly 200 feet, a spider with legs stretching perfectly proportioned, even a humanoid figure nicknamed the astronaut staring blankly upward. These aren't just random doodles. They are colossal masterpieces, some dating back over 2,000 years, crafted by removing the dark surface pebbles to reveal the lighter soil beneath. But why? Why would a culture with no known means of flight create art meant to be seen from above? Some researchers argue the answer lies not just in the earth, but in the stars. Look at the sprawling trapezoids and arrow straight lines crisscrossing the desert. While many assume they were ritual pathways or sacred spaces, astronomer Phyllis Petluga proposed something far more cosmic. She noticed that certain lines align with the setting positions of key stars during the solstices, particularly those in the Pleiades cluster, a group of stars deeply significant to Andean cultures, linked to agriculture and the rainy season. One prominent line points directly to where the sun sets during the December solstice, while others seem to frame the Milky Way during specific celestial events. Could these have been a giant observatory, a way for the Nazca people to track time, predict seasons, or even communicate with the divine? Theories abound. Some suggest the animal glyphs represent constellations, the spider mirroring Orion, the monkey echoing Ursa Major, acting as a terrestrial mirror of the night sky. Others point to the ray center lines radiating outward like spokes as potential markers for astronomical phenomena, but here's where controversy ignites. Skeptics argue that with so many lines, over 800 straight paths, and 300 geometric figures finding alignments is statistically inevitable. They question whether the Nazca people, without written records of astronomical knowledge, could have intentionally designed such precise celestial markers. Then there's the extraterrestrial angle. The sheer scale and precision of the lines led some mid-20th century theorists to propose they were landing strips or signals for alien visitors, an idea popularized by Swiss author Erich von Däniken. While mainstream archaeology dismisses this, the notion persists in pop culture, fueled by the eerie perfection of shapes like the runway, a massive rectangle that looks unnervingly like a modern airstrip. But modern research offers a more grounded explanation. The Nazca likely used simple tools and surveying techniques, perhaps ropes and stakes, to create these designs over generations, turning the desert into a sacred, living map. What's undeniable is the purpose behind the effort. These lines weren't just art, they were a dialogue with the cosmos. The Nazca lived in one of the driest places on Earth, where water was life itself. By aligning their world with the stars, they may have been seeking harmony with the forces that governed their survival, pleading with the heavens for rain, marking time for planting, or honoring deities they believed lived among the constellations. Recent discoveries of ceremonial pottery and offerings near the lines support this spiritual connection, yet the mystery deepens when you consider the vantage point. If these designs were meant to be seen by gods or ancestors in the sky, how did the Nazca know what they looked like from above? Some researchers propose they used hot air balloons or kites to survey their work, an idea supported by ancient pottery depicting balloon-like objects. Others suggest ritual leaders climbed nearby hills to direct the construction, their voices carrying across the desert as workers moved stones in unison. Whatever the truth, the Nazca Lines challenge our understanding of ancient ingenuity. They force us to reckon with the possibility that a culture without wheels or written language could still map the heavens onto the earth with staggering precision. Were they celestial calendars, sacred prayers, or something beyond our modern comprehension? As the desert winds slowly erase these fragile lines, they leave behind a haunting question. If we could see the world as the Nazca did, what other secrets might the stars reveal? High on a plateau in southern Africa, the stone walls of Great Zimbabwe rise like a whispered secret from the past. This sprawling ancient city, built between the 11th and 15th centuries, was once the heart of a thriving kingdom, a center of trade, power, and astonishing architectural skill. But look closer at its layout, and you'll notice something curious. The orientation of its massive stone towers and enclosures seems to align with the Pleiades star cluster, that tight-knit group of stars known across cultures as the Seven Sisters. What could this connection mean? For the Shona people who built Great Zimbabwe, the Pleiades weren't just pretty dots in the sky. Their appearance marked the start of the agricultural season, a celestial signal to plant crops before the rains arrived. The stars rising and setting may have been woven into the very fabric of the city's design, turning stone into a mirror of the heavens. Take the famous conical tower, a towering structure shaped like a granary. Some researchers propose its placement aligns with the Pleiades' position during key times of the year, acting as both a practical calendar and a spiritual beacon. Nearby, the hill complex, a maze of stone terraces and platforms, overlooks the valley in a way that frames the clusters rising. Could these have been intentional markers, helping rulers or priests track time with celestial precision? The evidence goes beyond architecture. Artifacts found at the site, like pottery adorned with star-like patterns and carvings of birds, symbols of divine messengers, hint at a culture deeply attuned to the cosmos. Even the city's name whispers of this connection. Zimbabwe derives from the Shona phrase, Mabwe, meaning houses of stone, but some oral traditions link it to Zimbabwe, or venerated houses, places where the earthly and celestial worlds met. But here's where the mystery deepens. The Pleiades weren't just important in Africa. From the Greeks to the Maori, from the Maya to the Japanese, cultures worldwide revered this cluster, associating it with planting cycles, ancestral spirits, and creation myths. How did so many disparate civilizations, separated by oceans and millennia, fixate on the same stars? Some theorists suggest this points to a shared ancient knowledge, perhaps carried by early migrations or trade networks. Others argue it's simply because the Pleiades are among the most visible and distinctive clusters in the night sky, a natural focal point for any sky-watching society. Yet at Great Zimbabwe, the alignment feels deliberate. The city's builders weren't just observing the stars, they were embedding them into their daily lives. The Pleiades' appearance coincided with the arrival of monsoon winds, crucial for trade routes that stretched as far as China and Arabia. Could the city's layout have served as a navigational aid, guiding merchants by starlight? Or was it a sacred bond between king and cosmos, reinforcing the ruler's role as an intermediary between people and the divine? Modern astronomers have noted that the cluster's position 2,000 years ago would have been slightly different due to Earth's axial precession, raising the tantalizing possibility that Great Zimbabwe's builders inherited even older astronomical traditions, refining them over centuries. The ruins leave us with more questions than answers. Why did this civilization, with no written records, invest such effort in celestial alignment? Was it purely practical, a way to master their environment, or did they see the stars as ancestors, guides, or gods? The stones of Great Zimbabwe don't speak, but their silent alignment with the Pleiades echoes a truth we're only beginning to grasp. Across continents and eras, humanity's oldest monuments aren't just relics of the past. They're star maps etched in stone, waiting for us to read them. In the dense jungles of Cambodia, the towering spires of Angkor Wat rise like stone mountains against the sky, a masterpiece of 12th century Khmer architecture. But look beyond its breathtaking beauty, and you'll find something even more astonishing. The entire temple complex isn't just aligned to the cardinal directions. It mirrors the constellation Draco, the celestial serpent winding through the northern sky. This isn't a loose approximation. Modern researchers using 3D mapping software discovered that Angkor Wat's central towers, its surrounding galleries, even its causeways align with key stars in Draco with an accuracy that defies coincidence. So why would a civilization carve a city-sized replica of a constellation into the Earth? The answer may lie in the sacred cosmology that shaped their world. To the Khmer builders, Draco wasn't just a random cluster of stars. In Hindu-Buddhist tradition, it represented the serpentine Naga, a divine being linked to creation, protection, and the underworld. The Naga's coiled form appears everywhere in Angkor's art, guarding temple entrances, flanking bridges, even forming the body of the rainbow bridge between earth and heaven. By aligning their temples with Draco, the Khmer may have been forging a literal connection between the earthly and divine realms. Picture this: during certain times of the year, the constellation's brightest star, Thuban, once the North Star, would have hovered directly above Angkor's central tower, as if the serpent's eye was watching over the kingdom. The precision is staggering. The temple's western entrance, often interpreted as a symbolic gate of death, aligns with Draco's tail, while the eastern causeway, the path of rebirth, points toward the constellation's head. This mirrors the Hindu cycle of samsara, the endless loop of death and rebirth. Even the temple's famed bas-reliefs, depicting churning oceans and celestial battles, seem to echo Draco's sinuous shape. But here's the twist: Draco isn't static. Due to Earth's axial precession, the constellation's position shifts over millennia. Some scholars argue Angkor's alignment matches Draco's position not in the 12th century, but thousands of years earlier. Could the Khmer have been preserving ancient astronomical knowledge passed down through generations? Or were they tapping into a deeper, universal symbolism shared across cultures? Critics counter that with so many stars in the sky, finding alignments is inevitable. Yet Angkor's designers left clues that suggest otherwise. Inscriptions describe the temple as a representation of Mount Meru, the cosmic axis in Hindu-Buddhist belief. Draco's position circling the north celestial pole would have made it the perfect symbol for this sacred mountain, a fixed point around which the heavens revolve. Even Angkor's water moats reflecting the night sky may have been designed to double as celestial maps, merging Earth and cosmos in liquid mirror. The implications are profound. If intentional, this alignment reveals a society that saw no divide between astronomy and spirituality. The stars weren't distant lights, They were living deities, their movements woven into rituals, architecture, even the rhythms of daily life. Today, as lasers scan anchors, stones, and satellites map its alignments, we're left with a humbling thought. Perhaps these temples weren't just built for humans, but as messages to the sky itself, a prayer in stone waiting centuries for us to decipher. Teotihuacan sprawls across the Mexican highlands like a frozen echo of the cosmos, its massive pyramids and wide avenues whispering secrets of celestial obsession. At its heart runs the Avenue of the Dead, a 4-mile-long thoroughfare stretching arrows straight from the Pyramid of the Moon to the Temple of Quetzalcoatl. But this isn't just a road, it's a carefully calculated alignment, pointing precisely towards Cerro Gordo, the sacred mountain to the north, and here's where it gets cosmic. On certain days of the year, the Pleiades cluster rises directly over the mountain's peak, as if the city's planners intentionally framed the stars within this earthly corridor. The effect is breathtaking, a fusion of landscape and sky that transforms Teotihuacan into a mirror of the heavens. How did a civilization without telescopes or written records engineer such precision? The clues lie in the city's layout. The Pyramid of the Sun, Teotihuacan's crown jewel, sits at an angle that aligns with the sun's path during key agricultural dates, its western face perfectly oriented to catch the setting sun on August 12th and April 29th, dates marking the start and end of the rainy season. Nearby, the smaller pyramid of Quetzalcoatl aligns with Venus, the morning star, its sculpted serpent heads appearing to slither toward the horizon as the planet rises. These aren't random placements, they form a complex celestial calendar etched in stone and earth, tracking the rhythms of time itself. But the real masterpiece is how these alignments intertwine. The Pleiades rising over Cerro Gordo coincides with the zenith passage of the sun, the moment it stands directly overhead, casting no shadows. For the Teotihuacanos, this celestial event likely signaled the start of the agricultural year, a divine cue to prepare the earth for planting. Modern laser scans reveal even deeper layers of intention. The city's grid is offset by 15.5 degrees east of true north, an angle that some researchers argue mirrors the Milky Way's position during certain epochs. Walk down the Avenue of the Dead at dusk, and you'd see the galaxy's luminous band paralleling the avenue's path, as if the street were a terrestrial twin of the cosmic river above. What drove this obsession with celestial harmony? Some scholars believe Teotihuacan was designed as a cosmogonic city, a physical embodiment of creation myths where gods and stars shaped the world. The Pyramid of the Sun's base perimeter matches the dimensions of Earth's own scale, as if the builders encoded planetary knowledge into its proportions. Murals depict deities emerging from starry portals, while artifacts like the famous Teotihuacan Spider-Woman statuette linked to Orion in Mesoamerican lore hint at a culture that saw no divide between the earthly and the astronomical. Yet mysteries linger. Why did Teotihuacan's builders abandon their city around the 7th century, leaving behind these celestial blueprints? Some theories suggest catastrophic droughts or political upheaval, but the alignments endure untouched by time. Perhaps the most haunting question is this: if these structures were meant to communicate with the gods or ancestors, did they ever receive a reply? As the Pleiades continue to rise over Cerro Gordo, just as they did 1,500 years ago, Teotihuacan stands as a testament to humanity's eternal dialogue with the stars, a conversation carved not in words but in stone and shadow. The Mayans didn't just track time, they wove it into the fabric of their world, turning stone and sky into a grand cosmic clock. High in the jungles of Central America, their pyramids rise like stairways to the stars, each step calibrated to the rhythms of the universe. Take Chichen Itzá's El Castillo, a pyramid so precisely engineered that during the spring and fall equinoxes, the setting sun casts a shadow along its northern staircase, creating the illusion of a serpent slithering down toward the earth. This isn't just artistry, it's astronomy in stone, a testament to the Mayans' obsession with celestial order, but their genius didn't stop with the sun. The Mayans tracked Venus with chilling accuracy, charting its 584-day cycle across the sky. At Uxmal, the governor's palace aligns with Venus's most southerly rising point, its doorway framing the planet like a celestial sentinel. Why such devotion to a single star? To the Mayans, Venus wasn't just a bright light. It was Kukulkan, the feathered serpent god, whose movements foretold war, drought, or prosperity. Their Dresden Codex, a bark paper book surviving centuries of humidity, contains tables predicting Venus's position centuries in advance, with an error margin of just 2 hours over 500 years. How did they achieve such precision without telescopes? The answer lies in generations of priests meticulously recording the night sky, spotting patterns we'd need computers to replicate today. Their calendar system reveals even deeper layers of sophistication. While we juggled days and months, the Mayans operated multiple interlocking cycles: the 260-day sacred Tzolk'in, the 365-day solar hub, and the long count spanning millennia. Together, these formed a cosmic gearwork, synchronizing human rituals with celestial events. The infamous end date of their long count, December 21st, 2012, wasn't a doomsday prophecy but a reset, like a cosmic odometer rolling over. Modern scholars argue this date aligned with a rare galactic conjunction, when the winter solstice sun crossed the Milky Way's dark rift, an event the Mayans may have seen as a portal between worlds. The implications are staggering. At Palenque, the Temple of the Inscriptions houses a sarcophagus lid depicting King Pakal descending into the underworld, surrounded by celestial markers. Some researchers believe the entire structure functions as an astronomical clock, its alignment with the solstice sun symbolizing the king's rebirth among the stars. Meanwhile, in Capon, the hieroglyphic stairway records lunar cycles with such detail that modern astronomers use it to study ancient eclipses. These weren't mere observations, they were dialogues with the divine, attempts to harmonize human existence with the universe's pulse. Yet mysteries linger. Why did the Mayans, with their unparalleled sky knowledge, never invent the telescope? Some propose their naked eye techniques were so refined they didn't need one. Others suggest their cosmology demanded intimacy with the cosmos, no lens between worshipper and God. Whatever the reason, their legacy challenges us to see time not as a line, but as a spiral where celestial patterns repeat and the past whispers to the future. As the equinox serpent still slithers down El Castillo each year, unchanged after 1,000 years, one truth becomes clear: the Mayans didn't just watch the stars. They danced with them. Perched high in the Andes, Machu Picchu isn't just a marvel of ancient engineering, it's a stone symphony composed to the rhythms of the sun. At dawn on the winter solstice, sunlight slips through a carefully carved window in the Temple of the Sun, striking the ceremonial Teotihuacan stone with surgical precision. This wasn't just architectural flair. The Teotihuacan, often called the hitching post of the sun, functioned as a sophisticated solar clock, its angles calibrated to mark the solstices with unerring accuracy. The Incas didn't just observe the sun's movements, they choreographed their entire city around them, turning rock and light into a celestial calendar. The genius lies in the details. The Orion, a semicircular temple beside the Teotihuacan, features niches and windows aligned with the rising sun during the June solstice, casting beams that illuminate sacred spaces like spotlights from the heavens. Nearby, the Temple of the Three Windows frames the sun's equinox sunrise, flooding the chamber with golden light in a spectacle that feels divinely orchestrated. These alignments weren't accidents. They were the heartbeat of a civilization that saw the sun as a god in Tai, the life-giver, whose favor dictated harvests, seasons, and survival. When the solstice light touched the Teotihuacan, it wasn't just a date on a calendar. It was a cosmic covenant, a promise that the sun would return to warm their crops and sustain their empire. But Machu Picchu's celestial dialogue goes deeper than solstices. The entire city's layout mirrors the constellations sacred to the Incas. Researchers have noted that key structures align with the Milky Way during specific celestial events, while the nearby Urubamba River snakes through the valley below, mirroring the cosmic river in the sky. Even the mountain peaks surrounding Machu Picchu, Huayna Picchu, and Machu Picchu mountain frame celestial phenomena like bookends, their silhouettes marking the sun's path at critical times of the year. This wasn't just urban planning, it was sacred geography, a fusion of earth and sky designed to harness the cosmos's energy. The practical applications were as profound as the spiritual ones. By tracking solstices, the Incas could predict planting and harvesting seasons with pinpoint accuracy, maximizing yields in the harsh Andean climate. The Teotihuacan's shadows acted as a farmer's almanac, telling them when to sow quinoa or potatoes. Yet its purpose transcended agriculture. During ceremonies, priests likely used the stone to tether the sun symbolically, ensuring its return during the darkest days of winter. Spanish chroniclers recorded accounts of gold-covered platforms where offerings were made to Inti, their surfaces glinting in alignment with solstice light, a tangible exchange between human and divine. What's haunting is how these alignments endure. Modern laser scans reveal that the Incas accounted for atmospheric refraction, the bending of sunlight through thin mountain air, adjusting their angles to compensate. This level of precision suggests generations of observation, a celestial science passed down through oral traditions and stone. Yet Machu Picchu's greatest mystery might be what we've yet to discover. Recent studies suggest lesser-known structures align with the Pleiades or Venus, hinting at a broader astronomical network still waiting to be decoded. As the sun continues to strike the Teotihuacan each solstice, just as it did 5 centuries ago, Machu Picchu stands as a testament to a civilization that didn't just build beneath the heavens, they built with them. The Carnac stones stretch across the Breton countryside like a giant's game of dominoes frozen in time, over 3,000 megaliths arranged in eerie, parallel rows that vanish into the horizon. Standing among these weathered sentinels, it's impossible not to feel the weight of their mystery. Who dragged these massive stones into place 4,000 years ago? And why arrange them with such geometric precision? While some dismiss them as territorial markers or funeral avenues, a compelling theory suggests these stones are far more than meets the eye. They might be one of humanity's oldest lunar observatories, a stone calendar whispering secrets of the moon's dance across the sky. Look closely at the alignments. The Grand Menhir Brisset, now toppled but once the tallest standing stone in Europe, would have cast a shadow pointing directly to the moon's most extreme northern setting point during its 18.6-year cycle. Nearby, the Camarillo alignments run perfectly east-west, framing the moon's rise during the minor lunar standstill, a subtle celestial event only detectable through generations of patient observation. Even the spacing between stones seems deliberate. Researchers like Alexander Thom propose that gaps between megaliths correspond to the moon's wobbling path, acting as a prehistoric prediction tool for eclipses or tidal changes crucial to coastal communities. But why would Neolithic farmers care so deeply about the moon? For ancient societies, lunar cycles weren't just celestial trivia. they governed life. The moon's phases dictated planting schedules, while its pull influenced tides that could make or break fishing harvests. Some anthropologists suggest the stone's alignment synchronized with rituals tied to fertility or ancestor worship, where moonlight illuminating specific stones signaled sacred times. Local legends add fuel to the fire. Breton folklore speaks of the army of stones, petrified soldiers cursed by a sorcerer or Pope Cornelius, hinting at a lost ceremonial purpose. Even the name Carnac may derive from cairn, a burial mound, linking the site to death and rebirth cycles mirroring the moon's phases. Skeptics argue that with so many stones, some alignments are inevitable. Yet the statistical clustering of lunar correlations around key astronomical points is hard to dismiss. Modern laser surveys reveal that the stone's placements account for the horizon's natural dips and rises, compensating for the landscape to maintain precise sightlines. This level of intentionality suggests more than coincidence. Imagine Bronze Age priests or shamans moving between the rows at night, tracing the moon's silver path as it slid behind predetermined stones, marking time in a language of shadows and stone. The Carnac stones refuse to give up their secrets easily. Unlike pyramids or temples, they bear no carvings or inscriptions, just silent, imposing presence. Yet their very simplicity might be the clue. In a world before writing, before wheels, these megaliths could have been a tactile, communal way to track celestial time, a technology as vital as any modern clock. As the moon continues its ancient dance above the Breton fields, the stones stand as mute witnesses to a forgotten dialogue between earth and sky, one we're only beginning to decipher. Every year on the spring and autumn equinoxes, something extraordinary unfolds at Chichen Itza. As the sun sinks toward the horizon, shadows ripple down the northern staircase of El Castillo, the iconic stepped pyramid, forming the undulating body of a serpent that appears to slither toward the earth. This isn't just a trick of light, it's a meticulously engineered spectacle, a testament to the Mayans' mastery of astronomy, architecture, and symbolism. The effect is so precise that the triangular shadows cast by the pyramid's terraces align perfectly to create 7 distinct diamond-shaped segments along the staircase, mirroring the body of Kukulkan, the feathered serpent deity central to Mayan cosmology. For those standing in the plaza below, it's as if the boundary between the celestial and earthly realms dissolves, if only for a moment. How did the Mayans achieve this celestial choreography? The answer lies in the pyramid's exact orientation. El Castillo isn't just aligned to the cardinal directions, its corners are calibrated to within fractions of a degree of true north, south, east, and west. Each of its 4 staircases has 91 steps, totaling 364 when combined with the shared platform at the top, symbolizing the solar year. The serpent's descent is no accident of design. The pyramid's balustrades are angled to catch the equinox sun at precisely 17 degrees, casting shadows that connect with the carved serpent heads at the base, completing the illusion of a living, slithering creature. Modern laser scans reveal that the builders even accounted for the pyramid's own bulk, ensuring the shadow's path remained unbroken despite the structure's massive size. Beyond its technical brilliance, the phenomenon held profound cultural significance. To the Mayans, the equinox marked a time of balance, when day and night stood equal and the veil between worlds grew thin. Kukulkan's descent wasn't just a celestial event, it was a divine visitation, a moment when the serpent god brought renewal, wisdom, and perhaps even prophecies from the heavens. Spanish chroniclers recorded accounts of ceremonies where priests, clad in feathered regalia, would ascend the pyramid during the equinox, their chants echoing as the shadow serpent joined them in ritual. The alignment also served practical purposes. As an agricultural society, the Mayans relied on precise solar tracking to time planting and harvests. The serpent's appearance signaled the arrival of rains, turning the pyramid into both a temple and a farmer's almanac carved in stone. Today, the event draws crowds from across the globe, a testament to the enduring power of this ancient dialogue between light and shadow. But there's a haunting detail often overlooked. The phenomenon isn't perfectly symmetrical. Due to slight shifts in Earth's axial tilt over the centuries, the shadow serpent now appears most vividly a day or two before and after the official equinox. Some researchers argue this reveals an even deeper layer of Mayan foresight. Could they have intentionally tuned the alignment to account for long-term astronomical changes, encoding a message about time's fluidity? Or is this slight drift a reminder that even the most precise human calculations must bow to the cosmos's grand rhythms? As the crowd gasps at the serpent's annual descent, one truth lingers. El Castillo isn't just a relic of the past. It's a living conversation, written in sunlight and stone, between the Mayans and the universe they sought to understand. High on a sandstone cliff in New Mexico's Choco Canyon, a spiral petroglyph comes alive with light twice a year, but not by chance. Known as the Sun Dagger, this ancient carving transforms into a celestial clock during the summer solstice, when a slender blade of sunlight pierces through a rock crevice above it, bisecting the spiral with surgical precision. Come winter solstice, two sun daggers bracket the same spiral, while the equinoxes reveal yet another pattern, a spear of light perfectly tangent to its curves. This isn't just rock art, it's a sophisticated solar calendar carved by the ancestral Puebloans over 1,000 years ago, a stone canvas where sunlight becomes both paint and clock hand. The genius of the sun dagger lies in its simplicity. The ancestral Puebloans didn't need intricate gears or glass lenses to track the sun's journey. They used the landscape itself as their instrument. By carefully positioning the petroglyph beneath natural rock overhangs, they harnessed cracks and angles in the cliff face to filter sunlight into precise beams. Modern researchers using 3D modeling have confirmed that even slight shifts in the sun's position, mere fractions of a degree, alter the light patterns dramatically, proving these alignments were meticulously planned. What's more, nearby petroglyphs mark lunar cycles, suggesting the site was a comprehensive observatory, blending solar and lunar timekeeping into a single sacred space. But why go to such lengths? For the ancestral Puebloans, tracking solstices wasn't just about marking time, it was survival. The summer solstice signaled the arrival of monsoon rains critical for crops in this arid landscape, while the winter solstice promised the sun's return after the darkest days. The equinoxes, meanwhile, may have guided ceremonial cycles tied to planting and harvest. Petroglyphs surrounding the sun dagger depict shamans, animals, and celestial symbols, hinting at rituals where sunlight's dance across the spiral summoned blessings or prophecies. Some scholars believe the site doubled as an astronomical classroom, where elders taught younger generations to read the sky's language. The real marvel is how these alignments endure. Earth's axial tilt has shifted slightly since the sun dagger was carved, yet the solstice markers still land within the spiral's boundaries, a testament to the builder's foresight. Nearby at Pueblo Bonito, a massive great house aligns with lunar standstills, its walls framing the moon's extreme rising points every 18.6 years. Together, these structures form a network of celestial observation points woven into the canyon's very bones, yet mysteries remain. Why did the ancestral Puebloans abandon Choco Canyon around the 12th century, leaving behind these astronomical masterpieces? Some theories point to drought or social upheaval, but the alignments whisper of a deeper truth. This was a culture that didn't just live under the sky, they conversed with it. As the sun daggers continue their ancient dance of light and shadow, unchanged by centuries, they challenge us to reconsider what primitive really means. In a world of atomic clocks and GPS, these stone-carved calendars remind us that time, at its heart, is written in sunlight. Buried beneath the windswept hills of southeastern Turkey, Göbekli Tepe shatters everything we thought we knew about early human civilization. This sprawling complex of carved stone circles predates Stonehenge by 6,000 years, built not by settled farmers, but by hunter-gatherers at the dawn of human culture. What's truly astonishing isn't just its age, but what's etched into its towering limestone pillars, intricate carvings of scorpions, foxes, and vultures interwoven with clusters of dots and crescent shapes that look suspiciously like celestial objects. Could these be the earliest known star maps, carved by people who hadn't even invented pottery yet? The possibility rewrites the script of human history, suggesting that astronomy, not agriculture, may have been the spark that ignited civilization. Take Pillar 43, nicknamed the Vulture Stone. Its surface swirls with enigmatic imagery: a scorpion, a bird clutching a spherical object, and a series of dots that researchers like Martin Sweatman have interpreted as a snapshot of the night sky around 10,950 BC. The key lies in those crescents. When matched against astronomical software, they align eerily well with the Taurid meteor stream, a dense cluster of space debris known for producing spectacular meteor showers. Even more compelling, the date corresponds to a period called the Younger Dryas, when Earth was bombarded by comet fragments, triggering climate chaos. Were Göbekli Tepe's builders documenting this cosmic catastrophe? The pillars themselves seem to support the theory. Several are arranged in patterns mirroring constellations like Cygnus or Orion, while central pillars in different enclosures may frame the rising points of key stars. But here's where the debate ignites. Mainstream archaeology has long assumed that complex societies emerged from the stability of farming. Göbekli Tepe turns that narrative upside down. Its builders hauled 20-ton stones and carved them with precision, all while still nomadic. Why would hunter-gatherers invest such effort unless the site served a purpose beyond survival? The celestial alignment theory offers a provocative answer. Perhaps these circles weren't just temples, but sacred observatories where shamans decoded the heavens. The animal carvings might represent constellations in a prehistoric zodiac, their positions encoding astronomical knowledge passed down through generations. Imagine gatherings under the stars where the pillars acted as a colossal stone planetarium, teaching initiates to read the sky's secrets. Skeptics counter that without written records, we're projecting modern astronomy onto abstract art. Yet the evidence keeps mounting. Geophysical surveys reveal that Göbekli Tepe's layout isn't random. The enclosures are strategically placed to track solstice sunrises, with certain pillars casting deliberate shadows during equinoxes. Even the site's elevation matters. Perched on a high plateau, it offers unobstructed views of the horizon, perfect for tracking celestial movements. Recent discoveries of similar carvings at nearby Karahan Tepe suggest this wasn't an isolated experiment, but part of a regional tradition blending cosmology and architecture. The implications ripple far beyond archaeology. If Göbekli Tepe's builders truly mapped the stars, it means humans were sophisticated astronomers millennia earlier than believed. Their knowledge may have been practical, predicting meteor showers or seasonal shifts, but also spiritual, seeing the cosmos as a living tapestry woven with meaning. As excavations continue, each unearthed pillar whispers the same tantalizing question: did the stars guide us to civilization rather than the plow? For now, Göbekli Tepe stands silent, its celestial codes waiting to be cracked. a 12,000-year-old invitation to rethink humanity's oldest conversation with the sky. The Temple of Carnac rises from the banks of the Nile like a stone hymn to the heavens, its towering columns and vast courtyards whispering of an ancient obsession with the stars. But among all the celestial connections woven into its design, one alignment stands out: the axis of the Great Temple of Ammon, stretching toward the horizon where Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, would rise in dazzling splendor. To the Egyptians, Sirius wasn't just a twinkling light. It was Sopdet, the celestial herald of the Nile's life-giving floods, and the earthly embodiment of the goddess Isis. The temple's alignment wasn't accidental. It was a deliberate fusion of astronomy, agriculture, and divinity, a bridge between the cosmos and the rhythm of daily life. Picture this: every year, just before dawn in mid-July, Sirius would emerge from the glare of the sun after a 70-day absence, a moment known as the heliacal rising. For the Egyptians, this celestial event was nothing short of miraculous. It signaled the imminent flooding of the Nile, whose waters would deposit rich silt across the fields, ensuring bountiful harvest. The temple's axis, precisely oriented toward Sirius's rising point, transformed Carnac into a colossal observatory. Priests standing in the innermost sanctum would have witnessed the star's first light piercing through the temple gates, illuminating statues of Ammon and Isis in a golden glow, a divine confirmation that the flood and prosperity were near. The connection between Sirius and the Nile runs even deeper. Ancient texts describe Isis linked to Sirius as the mistress of the inundation, her tears of mourning for Osiris mythically causing the river to swell. The temple's alignment thus wove together science and spirituality, a reminder that to the Egyptians, the natural and supernatural were inseparable. Even the temple's design reflects this harmony. The hypostyle hall, with its forest of towering columns, mimics the papyrus marshes created by the Nile's flood, while the sacred lake mirrored the night sky, its still waters reflecting Sirius's brilliance during rituals. But Carnac's celestial precision doesn't stop there. The temple's orientation also aligns with the winter solstice sunrise, framing the sun's rebirth at the year's darkest time, a counterpoint to Sirius's summer appearance. This duality underscores the Egyptian belief in balance. Sirius brought the flood, the solstice brought the sun's return, and together they sustained the cycle of life. Modern surveys reveal that the temple's builders accounted for atmospheric refraction, adjusting their alignments to compensate for the star's apparent shift caused by Earth's atmosphere. This level of sophistication hints at generations of accumulated knowledge, passed down through priestly colleges who watched the stars with unwavering devotion. What's haunting is how these alignments endure. Though Earth's wobble has shifted Sirius's rising position over millennia, the temple's axis still points to where the star would have shone brightest 3,500 years ago. Today, as lasers map Carnac stones and astronomers decode its alignments, we're left with a humbling truth. This wasn't just a place of worship. It was a cosmic clock, an agricultural almanac, and a testament to a civilization that saw no boundary between the earth and the sky. As the Nile's floods now tamed by modern dams and light pollution dimming Sirius's glow, Carnac stones still whisper their ancient secret that the stars, like the river, once ruled all. Deep in the rolling green hills of Ireland's Boyne Valley, a 5,000-year-old mystery unfolds each winter. Newgrange, a massive circular tomb older than Stonehenge and the pyramids, hides a secret chamber that comes alive with light for just 17 minutes a year on the dawn of the winter solstice. As the sun crests the horizon on the shortest day of the year, a narrow beam of golden light creeps through a perfectly positioned slit above the entrance, known as the roof box. This slender ray travels down a 60-foot stone passageway, finally spilling into the inner chamber to illuminate ancient spiral carvings that haven't seen daylight since the solstice before. The precision is breathtaking. The Neolithic builders didn't just stack stones, they engineered a celestial timepiece, locking the sun's most pivotal moment into the very bones of their sacred structure. How did a society without written language or metal tools achieve such exactitude? The answer lies in the tomb's meticulous design. The passageway angles upward at just the right degree to catch the low-hanging solstice sun, while the roof box acts as a filter, ensuring only the purest light reaches the chamber. Modern laser scans reveal even more genius. The builders accounted for the natural slope of the land, compensating for elevation changes to maintain the alignment across centuries. Even the stones lining the passage aren't random. Their placement creates a funnel effect, channeling the sunlight like a fiber optic cable straight to the chamber's rear wall. This wasn't guesswork, it was astronomy carved in stone, the product of generations observing the sun's slow dance across the sky. But Newgrange wasn't just a Neolithic calendar. To the people who built it, this alignment pulsed with spiritual meaning. The winter solstice marked the sun's rebirth, the moment the year's longest night gave way to lengthening days. By capturing this light in a tomb, they may have been symbolically uniting the cycles of life and death, suggesting the sun's return could herald renewal for the ancestors resting within. The chamber's 3 alcoves, arranged like petals around a central space, echo Celtic triplicities found in later myths, hinting at a deeper cosmological design. Some scholars believe the solstice light ritual was a form of communion where the living witnessed the sun's power resurrecting the dead, if only symbolically. Even the tomb's white quartz facade, which would have glittered in the solstice dawn, reinforced this sacred spectacle, turning the entire mound into a beacon of celestial connection. The modern rediscovery of this alignment reads like an archaeological detective story. When Newgrange was first excavated in the 1960s, the roof box lay buried under collapsed rubble. It wasn't until researcher Michael O'Kelly noticed traces of sunlight creeping into the chamber during restoration that the solstice phenomenon was confirmed. On December 21, 1967, O'Kelly became the first person in millennia to witness the event, crouching in the chamber as dawn's light painted the stones. His account captures the awe of that moment, the way the light didn't just illuminate but seemed to pulse, filling the chamber with an almost living glow. Yet mysteries linger. Why build something so elaborate when simpler markers could track the solstice? The scale suggests Newgrange was more than a local shrine. It was a regional pilgrimage site where the solstice light served as a unifying ritual. Nearby tombs like Noth and Douth also show astronomical alignments, hinting at a landscape-wide sacred geography. Even the spiral carvings, which the solstice light briefly reveals, might encode celestial knowledge, their looping patterns mirroring the sun's cyclical path. As the winter solstice sun continues its ancient appointment with Newgrange's inner chamber, unchanged for 50 centuries, one truth becomes clear: this wasn't just architecture. It was a covenant with the cosmos, written in light and stone. While Egypt's pyramids dominate global imagination, a lesser-known collection of ancient structures rises from the plains of China, monuments that may hold even deeper cosmic secrets. Scattered across the Shaanxi and Henan provinces, over 40 earthen pyramids, some towering nearly 200 feet tall, align with uncanny precision to the cardinal directions. The most famous, the White Pyramid near Xi'an, mirrors the Great Pyramid of Giza's orientation, its sides facing true north with an error margin of less than 1 degree. But here's what's truly fascinating. These Chinese pyramids aren't just aligned to Earth's compass points. Satellite imagery and ground surveys suggest their positions may map the stars of constellations like Draco or Orion, much like their Egyptian counterparts. Could these distant civilizations, separated by thousands of miles and years, have shared a celestial blueprint? The secrecy surrounding China's pyramids only deepens the intrigue. For decades, access to these sites was heavily restricted, with many shrouded by government-planted trees or labeled as tombs to deter scrutiny. Early 20th century explorers like Fred Mayer Schroeder described pyramids coated in white plaster, their flat tops possibly serving as platforms for astronomical observation. Modern researchers, piecing together declassified images and rare fieldwork, propose that the pyramid's alignments track solstices and equinoxes. The Mauling Mausoleum, for instance, aligns with the winter solstice sunrise, casting a shadow that bisects its terraces, a phenomenon echoing Mayan and Egyptian solar calibrations. Even more compelling are the pyramid clusters around Mount Lai, arranged in patterns that mirror star groups pivotal to ancient Chinese astrology. But why would Chinese emperors invest such effort in celestial symmetry? One theory ties the pyramids to the mandate of heaven, the belief that rulers derived authority from cosmic harmony. By aligning their tombs with the stars, emperors may have sought to eternalize their connection to the heavens, ensuring their legitimacy in the afterlife. Ancient texts like the Records of the Grand Historian hint at this obsession, describing how the first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, designed his mausoleum to mirror the cosmos, with pearls as stars and quicksilver rivers mimicking the Milky Way. Recent excavations near the pyramids reveal bronze mirrors and jade disc tools possibly used for astronomical observation, supporting the idea that these were more than burial mounds. They were portals between realms. Skeptics argue that without inscriptions or clear astronomical artifacts, the celestial connections remain speculative. Yet the parallels are hard to ignore. Like Egypt's pyramids, China's structures often feature precise geometric ratios, their heights and base lengths reflecting mathematical constants like pi or the golden ratio. Some even share the same celestial alignment shifts caused by Earth's axial precession, suggesting their builders accounted for long-term astronomical cycles. The differences, though, are just as revealing. While Egyptian pyramids often served as solitary monuments, China's pyramid complexes form vast necropolises, with smaller satellite pyramids orbiting central structures like planets around a sun, a layout that may encode planetary motion. What's clear is that these monuments challenge our understanding of ancient global connections. Were these alignments the result of shared human intuition about the stars, or is there a lost thread of knowledge linking these distant cultures? As China slowly opens its pyramids to scientific study, each new discovery peels back another layer of this cosmic mystery. For now, these silent earthen giants keep their secrets, standing as testament to a time when the heavens weren't just observed, they were etched into the very land beneath our feet. On the most isolated inhabited island on Earth, the massive stone faces of Easter Island's Moai stare inland with silent intensity. These towering figures, some weighing over 80 tons, have long been shrouded in mystery. How were they moved? Why were they carved? And what secrets do their placements hold? But there's another layer to their enigma. Scattered across the island's rugged landscape, the Moai aren't just randomly positioned. Some researchers argue their arrangements mirror celestial patterns, aligning with solstices, equinoxes, or even specific stars. Could these monolithic statues be more than ancestral guardians? Could they be part of an elaborate astronomical code left by the Rapa Nui people, a civilization that thrived in isolation for centuries before European contact? Take Ahua Kivi, a row of 7 Moai standing uniquely facing the ocean rather than inland like most others. These statues are positioned with such precision that during the spring and autumn equinoxes, the setting sun aligns perfectly between them, as if framing the celestial event in stone. Nearby at Ahuhuri-a-Yorenga, a solitary moai stands atop its platform with its back carved with petroglyphs that may represent celestial bodies. This statue's placement is even more intriguing. It's oriented so that during the winter solstice sunrise, the sun rises directly behind its head, casting a long shadow that bisects the ceremonial plaza below. These aren't subtle alignments. They're deliberate, calculated, and repeat with a consistency that suggests deep astronomical knowledge. But how did a society with no written language, no metal tools, and no contact with outside civilizations develop such precise celestial awareness? One clue lies in the Rapa Nui's oral traditions. Legends speak of a star priest class called the Tangata Manu, who studied the skies to predict seasons, guide navigation, and time rituals. The island's surviving wooden tablets covered in undeciphered glyphs known as rongo-rongo may hold further answers. Some researchers, like astronomer William Liller, propose these glyphs encode astronomical data with symbols representing stars, planets, or lunar cycles. If true, the Moai's alignments could be part of a broader system, a way to anchor celestial knowledge in the physical landscape, turning statues into permanent sky markers. The island's isolation makes these potential alignments even more astonishing. Unlike cultures that traded knowledge across continents, the Rapa Nui developed their understanding of the stars entirely independently. Their ancestors arrived by canoe around 1200 CE, navigating thousands of miles of open ocean using only the stars, waves, and birds as guides. That same celestial expertise may have been etched into the island itself through the Moai. At the ceremonial site of Orongo, petroglyphs depict the creator god Makemake alongside star patterns, while stone houses align with the rising of the Pleiades, a cluster important to Polynesian cultures for marking the new year. These connections hint at a cosmology where land, sea, and sky were deeply intertwined. Yet skepticism persists. With nearly 900 moai scattered across the island, couldn't some alignments be coincidental? Critics argue that without explicit inscriptions linking the statues to astronomy, these theories remain speculative, but counterpoints emerge. The Rapa Nui's Polynesian ancestors were master navigators, relying on stars to settle remote islands across the Pacific. It's plausible they'd carry this sky knowledge inland, translating it into monumental architecture. Even the Moai's iconic red stone hats, called pukau, might hold celestial meaning. Some researchers suggest their cylindrical shapes mirror the path of the sun or moon across the horizon. The deeper mystery isn't just whether the Moai align with the stars, but why. For the Rapa Nui, these statues weren't mere decorations. They were conduits between the living and the dead, embodiments of ancestral power. By anchoring them to celestial events, the islanders may have been creating eternal connections, tying their ancestors to the cyclical rhythms of the cosmos. As the sun continues to rise and set behind these silent sentinels, just as it did centuries ago, the Moai challenge us to reconsider what we label as primitive. In their stone gaze, we might be glimpsing the reflections of a people who didn't just live under the stars, they built their world in conversation with them. At the heart of the Inca Empire, where the Andes Mountains pierced the clouds, stood the Coricancha, the Temple of the Sun. This wasn't just a place of worship, it was a celestial instrument, a golden nexus where architecture and astronomy fused into something transcendent. Imagine walls sheathed in gold, not for mere opulence, but to catch the sun's first rays at dawn, scattering light across polished surfaces in precise geometric patterns. The Incas called it Inti Cancha, the golden enclosure, and its very design was a dialogue with the cosmos. the temple's eastern wall was calibrated to the summer solstice sunrise, a date marking the sun god Inti's annual return. As dawn broke, sunlight would flood through carefully positioned windows, striking a golden disk at the altar with such brilliance that it seemed the sun itself had descended to earth. During the winter solstice, the angle-shifted light painted the western walls, tracing the sun's retreat in a ritual of celestial symmetry. Even the temple's courtyard was a marvel of precision. A shallow basin of water, positioned just so, reflected the night sky, allowing priests to track the movements of the Pleiades, a cluster revered as the seed stars for their connection to planting cycles. But the Coricancha's genius extended beyond solstices. Its alignment with Venus, the morning star, reveals another layer of sophistication. On certain mornings, the planet's light would glint off gold-plated niches, signaling auspicious times for ceremonies or conquest. Spanish chroniclers recorded how the temple's inner chambers were lined with life-sized gold figurines of llamas, corn, and even butterflies' offerings to celestial forces that governed fertility and weather. The Incas didn't just observe the heavens, they replicated them. The temple's four main chambers mirrored the cardinal directions, each dedicated to celestial bodies: gold for the sun, silver for the moon, and lesser metals for Venus and the stars. What's haunting is how the Coricancha's alignments persist, even in ruin. After the Spanish conquest, the temple was dismantled to build the Church of Santo Domingo atop its foundations. Yet sunlight still filters through the original Inca windows during solstices, casting the same golden patterns on colonial walls, an unintended testament to the precision of its builders. Modern laser scans reveal that the temple's trapezoidal doorways and angled walls weren't just earthquake-resistant. They framed celestial events with mathematical exactness, compensating for Cusco's high-altitude atmospheric distortion. The Coricancha's true power lay in its duality. It was both a spiritual anchor and a scientific instrument, a place where priests could predict eclipses or droughts by the stars while commoners brought offerings to ensure good harvest. This blending of the sacred and the practical speaks to a civilization that saw no divide between the earthly and the cosmic. As the sun continues to trace its ancient path across the Coricancha's stones, now hidden beneath colonial architecture, it whispers a challenge to see these ruins not as relics of superstition, but as masterpieces of a lost celestial science. The Babylonian star catalogues are some of the most astonishing relics of ancient astronomy, meticulous clay tablets etched with cuneiform script, mapping the heavens with precision that rivals modern star charts. Dating back to the 2nd millennium BC, these records reveal a civilization that didn't just gaze at the stars but measured them, tracked them, and wove their movements into the very fabric of daily life. Take the Apin tablets, for instance. These ancient documents list over 70 stars and constellations, noting their positions, rising times, and even their associations with weather patterns and agricultural cycles. But what's truly staggering is their accuracy. The Babylonians didn't merely sketch the sky, they calculated planetary motions, predicted eclipses, and divided the celestial sphere into 12 equal segments, laying the groundwork for the zodiac we still use today. How did they achieve such sophistication without telescopes or advanced instruments? The answer lies in their relentless observation. Babylonian astronomers, often temple priests, spent generations recording celestial events on clay tablets, building a database of knowledge that spanned centuries. They noticed patterns like the 18-year Saros cycle of eclipses and turned these into predictive tools. One tablet from the 7th century BC even documents the movements of Jupiter with mathematical precision, using geometric calculations that wouldn't be rediscovered in Europe for another 2,000 years. This wasn't casual stargazing, it was a scientific revolution carved in clay. But here's the deeper mystery. Were these alignments purely practical, or did they carry sacred significance? The Babylonians saw the cosmos as a divine blueprint, with gods like Marduk and Ishtar embodied in planets and stars. Temples were often oriented to celestial events. The Conark Complex in Babylon, for example, aligned with the sunrise on the spring equinox, turning the city into a mirror of the heavens. Even their astrology, often dismissed as superstition today, was rooted in a profound belief that the stars influenced earthly events. Kings timed coronations to planetary alignments, and farmers planted crops when certain constellations rose. The sky wasn't just a clock, it was a living, breathing force. The legacy of these star catalogues echoes across millennia. Greek astronomers like Hipparchus and Ptolemy built on Babylonian data, and their zodiac system still shapes astrology today. Even NASA has used Babylonian eclipse records to study Earth's rotational history. Yet for all their influence, the Babylonians left behind unanswered questions. Why did they focus so intensely on Venus, recording its movements with obsessive detail? Were their celestial alignments intentional acts of sacred architecture, or simply byproducts of their mathematical rigor? The tablets don't say. What they do reveal is a civilization that looked upward not just to navigate or predict, but to commune with the cosmos itself, a dialogue written in stars and clay, waiting for us to decipher its full meaning. The Konark Sun Temple rises from India's eastern coast like a frozen hymn to the cosmos. Its towering spires and intricate stone chariot wheels designed not just to awe, but to converse with the heavens. At first glance, it's a masterpiece of medieval architecture, a monument to Surya, the sun god. But look closer, and the temple reveals itself as something far more profound. A celestial calculator carved in sandstone, where every pillar, every sculpture, and every angle aligns with the rhythms of the sun. During the equinoxes, dawn's first light slips through the temple's eastern gate, striking the sanctum with pinpoint accuracy, illuminating the deity within, as if summoning the sun itself into the sacred space. This isn't poetic coincidence. It's precision engineering rooted in the Vedas' ancient astronomical traditions, where architecture became a language to speak with the divine. What makes Konark's alignment so extraordinary is their layered complexity. The temple's main structure is shaped like a colossal chariot, pulled by 7 stone horses representing the days of the week, a metaphor for the sun's journey across the sky. The 24 elaborately carved wheels aren't mere decoration. They're sundials, their spokes casting shadows that mark the hours with uncanny accuracy. At noon during the summer solstice, the temple's shadow disappears entirely, a phenomenon locals call zero shadow moment, symbolizing the sun's zenith and its union with the earth. Even the temple's decline holds celestial meaning. Legends claim its main tower collapsed centuries ago because its alignment was too perfect, its power too potent, disrupting the cosmic balance it sought to mirror. The genius of Konark lies in how it synthesizes science and spirituality. Vedic texts like the Surya Siddhanta, dating back over 1500 years, contain detailed astronomical calculations, planetary motions, eclipse predictions, even the concept of a spherical Earth. The temple's builders encoded this knowledge into stone. The 9 planets Navagraha of Hindu cosmology are positioned along the temple's walls, their placements corresponding to their celestial orbits. The dance poses of the temple's countless sculptures aren't just artistic flourishes, they're arranged to mark the sun's annual path, with each posture reflecting a specific solar month. This wasn't just worship, it was a cosmological model, a three-dimensional mandala where art, science, and devotion intertwined. Critics might argue that with so many architectural elements, some solar alignments are inevitable. Yet Konark's precision defies randomness. The temple's latitudinal placement, 19 degrees north, was carefully chosen to maximize solar interactions, a fact confirmed by modern archaeoastronomers. Its 12 pairs of wheels correspond to the 12 months, while the 8 spokes in each wheel symbolize the 8 praharas, or divisions of the day in ancient Indian timekeeping. Even the temple's erosion patterns tell a story. The side facing the sea, battered by salty winds, has weathered more severely, yet the solar alignments remain intact, a testament to the builder's foresight in compensating for environmental decay. The deeper question isn't how the temple aligns with the sun, but why. In Vedic cosmology, the sun isn't just a celestial body, it's the soul of the universe, the source of time itself. By constructing a temple that literally dances with sunlight, the architects sought to harness prana, the life force flowing through all creation. Pilgrims circling the temple's base weren't just performing a ritual, they were reenacting the Earth's orbit, aligning their bodies with cosmic rhythms. Today, as the sun continues its ancient dialogue with Konark stones, the temple challenges us to see astronomy not as a modern science, but as an ancient sacrament, a bridge between the measurable and the mystical, written in light and stone. Deep in the shadowy recesses of France's Lascaux caves, a gallery of prehistoric art sprawls across the walls: bison, horses, and aurochs frozen in motion by the hands of Ice Age artists. But among these vivid depictions of ancient life, one peculiar painting stands out: a cluster of dots positioned near the shoulder of a bull-like figure, an arrangement that eerily mirrors the star cluster we now call the Pleiades. Could this be more than coincidence? Could these 17,000-year-old brushstrokes represent humanity's first recorded star map, predating written language by tens of thousands of years? The theory, first proposed by researcher Dr. Michael Rappingluke, suggests that the caves weren't just a canvas for hunting scenes, they were an astronomical archive, a sacred space where early humans mapped the heavens onto stone. Take the so-called Bull Hall, where the iconic bull painting dominates the wall. The 6 dots above its shoulder align almost perfectly with the Pleiades' brightest stars, while nearby paintings of a horse and a stag might correspond to other constellations like Taurus or Orion. This isn't just artistic whimsy. The Pleiades held profound significance for ancient cultures worldwide, marking seasonal changes critical for survival. For hunter-gatherers emerging from the last ice age, tracking these stars could have meant the difference between famine and feast. The cave's layout adds weight to the theory. Certain chambers align with solstice sunrises, funneling light into the depths at specific times of the year, suggesting the entire site might have functioned as a celestial calendar, its art and architecture intertwined with the cosmos. Skeptics argue that without written records, we're projecting modern astronomy onto abstract art, yet the evidence grows more compelling when you consider global patterns. From the Aboriginal rock art of Australia to the cave paintings of Spain's El Castillo, similar dot clusters appear alongside animal figures, often in context suggesting celestial observation. The Lascaux artists even used the cave's natural contours to create 3D effects: bumps in the rock forming the bull's raised shoulder, for instance, hinting at a sophisticated understanding of spatial relationships that could extend to star positions. What's haunting is the implication. If these paintings are indeed star maps, they rewrite the timeline of human ingenuity. Astronomy wouldn't have begun with the Babylonians or Egyptians, but with Paleolithic tribes huddled around fires, tracing star patterns in ochre and charcoal. The cave's remoteness adds another layer of mystery. These weren't casual doodles in daylight. They were created by torchlight in treacherous underground passages, suggesting their celestial content held urgent, perhaps sacred, importance. Were they teaching tools, ritual spaces, or attempts to commune with celestial forces? As the debate continues, one truth emerges. The Lascaux caves challenge us to see our ancestors not as primitive, but as pioneers, the first astronomers who painted the sky not on parchment, but in the dark heart of the earth. On the sun-baked islands of Malta, a cluster of stone temples older than Stonehenge and the pyramids stands as a silent testament to a forgotten astronomical genius. The Hagar Qim Complex, built over 5,000 years ago, isn't just a collection of weathered limestone slabs. It's a meticulously engineered celestial observatory. During the summer solstice, the rising sun pierces through a precisely aligned aperture in the temple's outer wall, casting a beam of light that travels along a corridor to illuminate a decorated altar stone deep within the inner sanctum. This isn't a lucky accident. The same phenomenon repeats with uncanny precision at Mnajdra, another Maltese temple, where the equinox sunrise aligns perfectly with the main doorway, splitting the threshold into two equal halves of light and shadow. These alignments aren't just close, they're mathematically exact, rivaling the precision of far later civilizations like the Greeks or Egyptians, who were the builders capable of such sophistication. The temple culture that flourished on Malta between 3600 and 2500 BC left no written records, no metal tools, not even evidence of a centralized government. Yet they erected monuments with interlocking stone blocks so precisely fitted that modern engineers struggle to explain their construction techniques. The temple's layouts reveal even deeper layers of intention. At Jiwith, above Gantaja, two adjacent temples face southeast, their entrances aligned with the rising of the star Sirius, a celestial event linked to agricultural cycles across the ancient Mediterranean. The temple's curved chambers, arranged in cloverleaf patterns, may mirror the phases of the moon, with niches positioned to track its 18.6-year cycle. This level of astronomical integration suggests a society that didn't just observe the heavens, but structured their entire spiritual and practical lives around celestial rhythms. Theories about the temple culture's knowledge abound. Some researchers propose they inherited astronomical traditions from even older seafaring peoples, now lost to time. Others point to the temple's frequent depictions of spiral motifs, symbols often linked to cosmic cycles in prehistoric art, as evidence of a sophisticated understanding of time's cyclical nature. Then there's the mystery of the fat lady statues, bulbous female figures found in temple ruins. While often interpreted as fertility symbols, their postures reclining with arms positioned at specific angles might represent constellations or celestial events. Without written records, we're left to decode their meaning through alignment studies alone. What's undeniable is the scale of the achievement. These temples weren't built by a civilization with wheels or pulleys, but by people using stone tools and sheer communal effort. The effort to transport and shape 20-ton stone blocks, then position them to interact with sunlight millennia into the future, speaks to an obsession with celestial harmony that transcends practicality. Modern laser scans reveal that the temple's builders accounted for the island's natural topography, compensating for elevation changes to maintain sightlines to key astronomical events. This wasn't just ritual, it was a science of stone and light, a way to anchor the intangible cosmos into the physical world. The haunting question isn't how they built these temples, but why. Unlike later cultures that used astronomy to predict floods or plant crops, Malta's small size and predictable climate made such precision seem almost unnecessary. Perhaps the answer lies in the temples themselves, their womb-like chambers, their alignment with cycles of light and darkness. They may have been portals between worlds, where solstice sunlight wasn't just a calendar marker but a divine presence, a momentary union of earth and sky. As the sun continues to keep its ancient appointments with these stone corridors, unchanged for 50 centuries, the Maltese temples challenge our assumptions about prehistory. They whisper of a time when the boundary between the earthly and the celestial was thin, and humanity's oldest monuments weren't just buildings, they were bridges to the stars. High on the ceiling of the Hathor Temple at Denderah, a massive sandstone relief captures the night sky in astonishing detail, the Denderah Zodiac, one of ancient Egypt's most enigmatic celestial maps. This intricate circular tableau, carved over 2,000 years ago, isn't just decorative. It's a sophisticated fusion of mythology, astronomy, and timekeeping, revealing how the Egyptians saw themselves as part of a cosmic order. At first glance, the zodiac resembles the familiar constellations we recognize today: Leo the lion, Taurus the bull, even a fish-tailed Capricorn. But look closer and the differences emerge. Here, the constellations merge with Egyptian gods: the ram of Amun-Ra, the scorpion of Serpent, and the goddess Nut arching across the heavens, her star-studded body swallowing the sun each evening to birth it anew at dawn. This isn't just a star chart, it's a sacred narrative etched in stone. What makes the Denderah Zodiac so remarkable is its precision. Scholars debate whether it depicts a specific celestial event, perhaps the sky as it appeared during the temple's construction around 50 BCE, or even earlier, reflecting archaic astronomical knowledge passed down through generations. The arrangement of planets in the relief aligns with rare conjunctions, like the clustering of Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars that occurred in the 6th century BCE. Even the zodiac's circular form holds meaning. Unlike linear star lists from Mesopotamia, the Denderah Zodiac presents the sky as a cyclical wheel, echoing the Egyptian belief in eternal renewal, the same principle that guided their pyramids and solar barges. Yet the zodiac also raises provocative questions about cultural exchange. The very concept of the zodiac originated in Babylon, yet the Denderah version adapts it with uniquely Egyptian symbols. Is this evidence of trade in ideas along ancient networks, or does it suggest an independent astronomical tradition that converged with foreign knowledge? The temple's priests likely used the zodiac not just for ritual but as a practical tool. Aligning ceremonies with celestial events like Sirius's heliacal rising, which heralded the Nile's flood, they bridged heaven and earth, turning the ceiling into a mirror of the divine. Modern technology unveils even deeper layers. Spectral analysis reveals traces of pigment, suggesting the zodiac was once vibrantly colored, with blues for the watery heavens and gold for the sun's path. Laser scans show subtle grooves marking planetary paths, hinting at a dynamic, almost mechanical understanding of the cosmos. Some researchers propose the zodiac functioned as a clock, its symbols tracking precessional shifts over millennia, a theory that, if true, would imply the Egyptians grasped Earth's wobbling axis long before Hipparchus documented it. The Denderah Zodiac's true power lies in its duality. It's both an astronomical record and a theological manifesto, asserting that the gods didn't just inhabit the stars, they were the stars. As moonlight still filters through the temple's ruined roof, illuminating this ancient sky map, one truth becomes clear. To the Egyptians, the universe wasn't a distant void. It was a living, breathing entity, and Denderah's ceiling was their portal to join its dance. Rising from the dense Guatemalan rainforest, the towering temples of Tikal stand as silent witnesses to a civilization that saw the cosmos as the ultimate architect. This ancient Mayan city, with its 9 great pyramids piercing the jungle canopy, wasn't just a feat of engineering, it was a celestial blueprint. Each structure, each plaza, even the sprawling causeways connecting them, align with the movements of Venus, Jupiter, and the Sun in patterns so precise they couldn't be accidental. The Grand Plaza itself forms a cosmic axis, with Temple 1 and Temple 2 framing the rising and setting of Venus during its most significant phases. For the Maya, Venus wasn't just a bright star. It was Kukulkan, the feathered serpent god, whose appearances dictated the timing of wars, coronations, and sacred ceremonies. Consider the Temple of the Great Jaguar, its steep steps ascending toward the heavens. During the planet's 8-year cycle, Venus would rise directly over its summit on specific dates, casting a shimmering light down the temple's face like a celestial spotlight. The Maya tracked these cycles with obsessive precision, recording them in the Dresden Codex with calculations accurate to within 2 hours over 5 centuries. But Tikal's celestial choreography goes deeper. The city's entire grid aligns with the sun's path during the equinoxes, when shadows cast by the North Acropolis create a serpentine ripple effect akin to the famous light show at Chichen Itza. Only here, the phenomenon predates its Yucatan counterpart by centuries. Even the lesser-known Temple of the Masks aligns with the summer solstice sunrise, its twin towers framing the sun like a divine doorway. What's truly staggering is how these alignments shaped daily life. The Maya didn't just build temples to watch the stars, they designed entire cities as astronomical instruments. Tikal's 5 main pyramids correspond to the 5 visible planets, while its Sakbiob-raised causeways mimic the Milky Way's path across the sky. Residential compounds clustered around these celestial markers, turning neighborhoods into living calendars where farmers could read planting seasons in the angles of temple shadows. Rituals timed to planetary alignments weren't mere pageantry, they were acts of cosmic maintenance, ensuring the continued balance between the earthly and divine realms. Modern LiDAR scans reveal even more astonishing details. Beneath the visible structures lie earlier constructions aligned to different celestial events, suggesting the Maya continuously refined their astronomical knowledge over generations. The oldest ball court, for instance, once framed the setting Pleiades, linking the sacred game to myths of celestial rebirth. Meanwhile, hidden water reservoirs positioned at astronomically significant points suggest even practical infrastructure held cosmic meaning. The genius of Tikal lies in its synthesis of utility and spirituality. While Western cultures often separate science and religion, the Maya saw them as one. An integrated system where tracking Venus's cycles was as much about predicting war as honoring the gods. As dawn breaks over the rainforest canopy today, painting Tikal's temples in golden light, the city's stones still whisper their ancient secret, that the truest architecture isn't just built on Earth, but woven into the very fabric of the sky. From the towering pyramids of Giza to the sprawling temples of Angkor Wat, these 24 mysterious alignments form a celestial puzzle scattered across our planet, a puzzle that forces us to reconsider what ancient civilizations truly knew. The precision with which these structures mirror the stars, track solstices, and frame planetary movements defies simple coincidence. Take the way Newgrange's inner chamber captures the winter solstice sunrise like a stone camera snapping a celestial photo, or how the Nazca Lines stretch across the desert as if drawn for gods hovering above. These aren't just artistic choices, they're mathematical, deliberate, and eerily consistent across cultures separated by oceans and millennia. What's striking isn't just the accuracy of these alignments, but the sheer diversity of civilizations that achieved them. The Maya, with their Venus-tracking temples, had no contact with the Egyptians, who mapped Orion's belt onto their pyramids. Yet both cultures shared an obsession with harmonizing their monuments to the cosmos. Even more astonishing are sites like Göbekli Tepe, where hunter-gatherers with no written language carved what might be the world's oldest star maps into stone pillars 12,000 years ago. This wasn't just primitive stargazing, it was a sophisticated dialogue with the universe, encoded in architecture meant to outlast spoken words. The debate between coincidence and design hinges on scale. With thousands of ancient sites worldwide, some alignments are statistically inevitable. But the clustering of these 24 examples, each aligning not just roughly, but with pinpoint accuracy to specific celestial events, suggests something more profound. The Incas' Coricancha, for instance, didn't merely face the sunrise. Its windows and altars were calibrated to the solstices with margins of error measurable in minutes. Similarly, the Carnac stone's lunar alignments required tracking the moon's subtle 18.6-year cycle, a feat demanding generations of meticulous observation. Perhaps the most compelling argument for intentional design lies in the cultural context. These alignments weren't hidden or esoteric, they were central to daily life. The Nile's floods, predicted by Sirius's rise at Carnac, dictated Egypt's agricultural cycle. The Mayans timed wars and coronations to Venus's phases. For these civilizations, the sky wasn't just a spectacle. It was a clock, a calendar, and a divine script rolled into one. The structures they built weren't passive observatories but active participants in a cosmic dance, designed to harness celestial power for earthly survival. Yet mysteries remain. How did these cultures share similar astronomical knowledge without direct contact? Were they tapping into a lost global tradition, or is there something universal in how humans perceive the heavens? The answers might lie in the stars themselves, unchanging over centuries, offering the same patterns to every culture that dared to look up and wonder. Now it's your turn. After journeying through these 24 celestial blueprints, where do you stand? Are these alignments the work of ancient geniuses who saw deeper into the cosmos than we've credited, or breathtaking coincidences forged by time and chance? Drop your thoughts below, and if you're hungry for more mysteries, hit that subscribe button. The universe has endless stories left to tell, and we're just getting started.